Hi guys, it's Belle here and it is time for me to share with you my November reading wrap up. And it was a good month in many ways, guys. It was also a month where I didn't get to fit in everything I wanted to, but I still read 14 books, which I think is pretty good. And so while I am going to talk to you about the audio and the ebooks, as I always do, I'm going to be doing some gentle crafting in the background, and today that's just going to be me working on doing a little bit of a masterboard with some scraps, because I don't have to think and I can tell you guys all about the books. That was meant to be at an edge. So let's get started. 14 books I read. As always, I'm going to do them in format. So I'm going to do audio, then ebook, and then physical. And it was quite a mixed format this month. And I read a lot of murder mystery, because that's just what I'm really into at the moment. So the first audiobook I want to talk to you about is Murder by Candlelight. This is a Val and Arby mystery. It's book 1. I don't know how many books are out yet in it. It is by Faith Martin. And as always, you'll see the image up here anyway. And it is what it says. It is a murder mystery. It is 1924, and we are in the small village of Maybury on the Marsh in the Cotswolds. And the lady of the manor house, Miss Amy Phelps, I think her name is, approaches Arby, who is living with his uncle. He's a young gentleman living with his uncle, who's one of those gentlemen in the 20s who's a bit like, don't really want to do anything, just having a good jolly time. His uncle's very eccentric, and he wrote a book called Gentleman's Guide to Ghost Hunting. He doesn't really believe in ghosts, but it was a bit of a dare by a chum, so he wrote it, and it's done very well for itself. So Amy Phelps comes to Arby and says, well, there's this ghost story that an ancestor of mine, when he thinks someone's not taking care of the family money, a bell is rung as a warning and often death follows. And she's like, I've heard this bell. Could you come and investigate? And Arby's like, well, I suppose so. I'm not really that bothered, but okay, I'll come. And he also, the local vicar, I believe it is, the local vicar's daughter, Val, who's kind of friends with Arby. They kind of know each other, but, you know, she's also there. And they think realistically that nothing's going to happen. They do this ghost watch and nothing really happens. But a couple of days later, Amy Phelps is found murdered in a locked bedroom, and we go from there. It gave me Jeeves and Wooster without maybe so much of the comedy or Agatha Christie vibes. Now, people say that and then people get disappointed, i.e. me and other Agatha Christie fans. I'm not saying it's as good as Agatha Christie. What I am saying is it gave me Agatha Christie feels. It's set in the 20s. They speak in the 20s lingo, which I just love. I just love that. I find it very comforting. If any of you here in the UK are watching I'm a Celebrity and Tom is in there, guys, basically that's kind of like 1920s speak, and I am all for it. I love it. So it did give me that vibes. It was just a fun murder mystery. I kind of guessed who it was. I'm not saying it's the most amazing mystery I've ever read, but it was locked room. It was a little bit, I will say, it was a little bit unrealistic, some of it. That's what I will say. But yeah, it was fun. and it was exactly what I was looking for to read. I gave it 3.75. There is more in the series, at least one more that I've seen, and I would listen to it again. I feel like they're setting Val and Arby up with a romance, but yeah, I just really enjoyed it. It was what I was it was one of those picks where I had other audiobooks I was thinking of listening to, and I just thought I don't want to listen to any of those, so what can I do? And my local library had this one available, and I thought, oh, candlelight, it's reminding me of Christmas, even though it's not set at Christmas at all. Let's read that, and I'm glad I did. The next audiobook I want to talk to you about is The Murder at World's End. This is a new release. It's only come out in the last month or two, I think. It's definitely a 2025 release. I don't know. I went into this, let me tell you about it first. The Murder at World's End. It's a Stockingham and Pike mystery. I don't know if there's going to be more because this is just new out. And it is by Ross Montgomery. Again, it's a new release. I went into this, and I don't know why, I blame the bookshops, thinking that this was a Christmas mystery. I think it's because it's out at the moment in the bookshops with all the Christmas murder mysteries. That's why I thought it was a murder mystery, Christmas one. It's not. So let me tell you all about it. I ended up giving this one 4 stars, which, you know, considering it's a new release and that, I'm actually quite surprised about, but I thoroughly enjoyed this, including on audio. In fact, if you like reading audiobooks, I highly recommend this one because it does like radio broadcasts, and you actually hear the like crackling sound of the radio. And one of the narrators for it is, oh my gosh, what is his name? Let me just check. Do you know, I can't find it, but it's the guy who played Cadfael over here, the monk. Anyway, very famous. Why can't I remember his name? So anyway, he's one of the narrators. But basically, we are in Cornwall. It is 1910. We are on a small tidal island. If you do not know what a tidal island is, it's one of those ones where literally you are stuck on an island, and when the tide is out, you are cut off from the mainland. You can't get anywhere. That alone was like, oh yeah, I want to read this one. Gave me real and then there were none vibes in the sense of location. The Viscount of Tithe Hall is obsessed with the idea. It's about to be Halley's Comet is coming, and he is obsessed with the idea that the world is going to end, which was actually a real thing. And people think this, you know, you see the comet and the world's going to end. So he is getting the hall in preparation, in lockdown, for when he thinks the world's going to end. He has his extended family there and the staff. And this young guy turns up there, Stephen Pike, looking for a job. He turns up. He's fresh out of Borstal. This all happens within the first few pages, so you know this. He got into trouble for something. He's not a bad guy. He just got into trouble, and he's dealing with the aftermath of that and trying to find work. So he was part of this society that helps people get rehabilitated, and one of the people who's at Tithe Hall is a rich benefactor of the society and has written to him saying, you know, come work at Tithe Hall. You know, we can give you a position here. Why won't this open? And so that's what he does. He turns up while all this is going on, and the Viscount has said we can't have any new staff. He's actually got rid of all the gardeners and everything, but Stephen gets the job anyway. There is a lady there, Decima, I think her name is. I feel like it's Decima. Yeah, Miss Decima. She is in her, I want to say 80s, and she makes the staff cry. If you mixed Miss Marple and Vera Wong together, but made her a little ruder. She uses a lot of foul language, so if that's not your thing, then this isn't the book for you. I'm trying to get this to stick down and it won't. This is not the book for you. She makes the staff cry. She gets very annoyed. No one's listening to her. You know, she's from the 80s. She was born in, it's obviously 1910. So she's from an era where women weren't really listened to. She couldn't really do what she wanted with her life. And she's very intelligent and she gets very annoyed at people. So Stephen is given the job of looking after her overnight. And the Viscountess said that everyone has to be in their room, including all the staff, but the staff go to bed last. Everyone is then locked into their room, and even the keyholes are stoppered with wax because of the vapours from the Halley's Comet flying overhead. And he really believes that in the morning they will wake up and the world would have basically ended, and he is prepared for all this and what they are going to do. Well, the staff didn't know all this until that night, so some of them have family in the village and they get a little bit upset. Either way, everyone gets ready for this. Stephen is super stressed because, you know, he doesn't know what's going on, and then he goes to meet Miss Decima, and she's like, right, Stephen, we're going to go out tonight and we're going to actually watch the comet. And he's like, well, what if it is the end of the world? What if she's like, stuff and nonsense, Stephen. Well, she doesn't quite say that. And so they're outside while the comet is overhead, and they're looking at things and taking scientific measurements. And whilst all this is going on, dun, 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 in the morning, the Viscount is found dead. And it is another locked room mystery. One of my favourite things. So they realise the world has not ended, and they have to call the police, and they're waiting for the police to turn up. Stephen is obviously very stressed because he's the new member of staff and he's also been in Borstal, so he's pretty sure that he's going to be the first person they look at. And then the police turn up, and then there's another death. And we go from there as Stephen and Miss Decima decide they're going to try and solve this case. And she's going to try and save Stephen and also just solve the case. And we have a whole load of different suspects. There's secrets everywhere. There's all sorts going on. And it's just a great period drama piece. I had so much fun with this book. I am hoping there is more. The way it ended definitely sounds like there's going to be more happening at some point. And I am just, yeah, I just really enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. So that is The Murder at World's End, Stockingham and Pike mystery. Yeah, it's good fun. If you love period pieces, if you love locked room, it's locked room and closed circle, because the murder's in a locked room, and it's closed circle because they are stuck at that place because of the tides as well, having to wait. And I just really enjoyed that it did the in-between. They had the radio broadcast where they're kind of talking on the radio or doing reading the newspaper. Derek Jacobi, that's who it is. It just came to me. And it's all crackly like it would be. I really enjoyed that. So I highly recommend that. 4-star. And I had seen it in the bookshop when I went in to have a look for a Christmas read, and the book was beautiful, but I didn't pick it up because it's hardback and it's very expensive, and I was like, oh, I don't know. And now I would love it, but I'll probably get it in paperback. So the next one is actually a reread for me, and it is The 12 Sleighs of Christmas, and it is by Jacqueline Frost, obviously not her real name. And it is the first in the Christmas Tree Farm mystery series. I think there's 6 or 7 books. Now, we are following a young girl, Holly White. Her fiance has dumped her. She was meant to be getting married on Christmas Eve, and he has broke off their engagement. and she is going back home to Mistletoe, which is a town in Maine. Her parents own the Christmas tree farm there, and she's going back brokenhearted, sad, and all that stuff. And she gets there, and there's this horrible lady who runs the historical society called Margaret Fenwick, and she is found murdered on her parents' farm. Now, this is not just any Christmas tree farm, guys. This place runs the reindeer games. It is known, people come from all around. It is 12 days of amazing games. Now, I gave this book a 4-star, but on reread, I don't know if it really is a 4-star. I'm not bothered about Holly. I have found in a lot of cozy murder mysteries, this one is definitely cozy, I have found in a lot of those that the main female character is someone that I just find a bit bland, a bit generic, a bit, yeah. And Holly fits that bill. She's also one of those people that she makes jewellery, and as soon as she goes out and wears a piece, you know, she makes it as a hobby, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. And so she goes home, and somehow this glass jewellery that she makes from recycled glass bottles and things, somehow this jewellery she ends up making loads overnight, which I just don't find possible. And also everyone loves it so much that it sells out immediately in the shop when she puts it there, just as a laugh. I'm just like, oh, okay. But I will say this, if you are looking for a Christmas cozy mystery that gives you all the festive feels, you cannot get a better cozy mystery than this. Mystery aside, I mean, I didn't solve it, but again, it's not the most like mind-blowing mystery. But mystery aside, guys, we have 12 days of reindeer games. There's actual reindeers. They do gingerbread house decorating. They do baking contests. They have sleigh rides. They grow the trees on their farm. The mentions of Christmas themed goodies, oh my goodness, I mean, you'll put on weight just listening to it. It's just that amazing. Honestly, there's a tree decorating competition. I mean, you name it. Obviously, the farm gets closed down for a little while because of the murder, and she's worried for her family because basically the reindeer games bring in the money and the tree buying that last her family through the rest of the year. So just for feels alone, guys, I would honestly pick up this book. I have read 2 in the series. They're really hard to get in this country. You can't really get the book itself. So I have the audio books 1 and 2 on audio, but there's, like I said, about 6 or 7 just for feels alone. There's also a love interest, and it just so happens to be, well, there's a couple of love interests, but there's the local cop who finds her so amazing and different and blah, blah, blah. And you're like, okay, I don't find this realistic. But it doesn't matter because the surrounding people, there's a lady in it who is this feisty older lady. I love a feisty older protagonist lady. And she has a goat that's named after her ex-husband who goes everywhere with her. And she talks about him like he's a real, like, person, like he's a real what's the word, yeah, like he's real, like he's got his own opinion. So I love it. 4 stars. I don't know if it was for the mystery, I'm going to be honest, or if it's just for the feels it gave me for Christmas. It could just be for the Christmas feels, guys. So that was a reread. It was exactly what I wanted. I knew the story anyway, so that helped. Just when I was listening in the background to things, and it just made me excited for the festive season. So they're all the audiobooks, guys. We are now on to ebooks, and the first ebook I read is one that's been on my radar for a little while. It is called I Who Have Never Known Men. It was actually my first read of the month. It is by Jacqueline Harpman, and it is translated by Roz Schwartz, I believe. And this is a weird book. It's very dystopian. I gave this book 5 stars. It is very, If you love books with answers, this is not the book for you to go into. I'm going to be honest. So basically, we start our book and there's a young woman. We don't know her age. She might be about 14, maybe 15, maybe a little bit younger. And there's this group of women, including her, that are being kept underground in a cage. They are being guarded. So there's 39 of them or 40 of them. They are being guarded by guards, funny enough, soldiers, men. They're being guarded by men. But the thing is, most of them remember the time before, but they don't know why they're down there. They don't know how it happened. They've come from all over. None of them have any connection to each other. They're from all different areas and all different walks of life. Their life is regimented. They don't know anything at all. No one will talk to them. Nothing's happening. They're just down there in this cage. They're not allowed to hug, touch each other. Then they're not allowed to talk to the guards. They have to sleep when they're told to sleep. Like, it's all very, very weird. And then one day, and so the other women remember the time before, but this young girl, who is only ever called the child, she doesn't have a name, she does not remember the time before. And they talk about the fact that she must have been maybe really young, maybe even only 4, when everyone was put in the cage. And they think it might have been a mistake. They don't know how she ended up there, but they do know that no one knows anything. No one knows where their husbands, their children, nothing. No one knows what has happened. Something has happened. They don't even know if they're on Earth or somewhere else. They just don't know. And so she is called the child, and she has none of the before memories. And she gets very angry about this because she doesn't know certain things. Could you imagine growing up and all you've ever known is a cage and guards, and the men don't speak, and it's a whole different world? And she gets a bit angry because they keep saying, well, there's no point telling you because it's nothing you'll ever experience. And they're all different ages, but she is the youngest. There's no like young ones. Some of them have had children and things, and they don't know where their children are, what's happened or anything. And then one day when it's time for dinner, you know, food's being brought, an alarm goes off and the men rush out, but they also leave the cage unlocked. And so the main part of this book is how these women escape and what they then find or don't find. Now, this child's very, very clever. She doesn't know how to read or do maths, because obviously there's no need for her to know these things. And there's nothing that they can give her to teach her how to do it, because they don't have any access to books or numbers or anything like that. But she ends up being able to count. They sort of teach her basics, and she's able to do time in her head before they even escape. And so they do escape, and what they find is not what they expect. They don't find necessarily the answers they're looking for, but they do find that they're not the only cage like this, and they find others along the journey, other cages and things, and other things. You get small glimpses into what might be the answer, but this is not a book you go into for answers. This is a book you go into for the vibes. Guys, this book made me sad. This book made me cry. It's something I've been thinking about a lot, because it's a book about growing up and self-discovery and loneliness, and there's so much in this book, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to give it away. I went into this not knowing that much. I just heard loads of people talk about it, and I normally do a lot of research on books before I go into them. Well, not lots, but you know, some. And I didn't know anything when I went into this book other than what other people had said, and I think that's the way to go into it. This is a book I'm going to think about for a long time. I don't have it on audio. I do have it on physical. I do have it on ebook, but I am thinking of buying it. It will definitely be a reread. It can be hard to read in certain places, but yeah, I don't know. It really did make me think. Then we have a a very different kind of book. We have the Spellbook of Katrina Van Tassel by Alyssa Palombo. I gave this 3 stars. I'm so sorry if you're watching this. Someone recommended this to me. And I was excited because if you don't know, Katrina Van Tassel is in... put the Tracy Fox thing. Is in... Oh, the Headless Horseman myth. And so this is a reimagining from her point of view as Katrina, and it does change things up. So we have young Katrina, we're living in the same town that the Headless Horseman myth is in, and people talk about it, and we have, oh my goodness, why can't I remember his name? Ichabod Crane does turn up. Oh, Sleepy Hollow. Headless Horseman, Sleepy Hollow. Ichabod Crane turns up. He's going to be the schoolmaster. He lives with the Van Tassels for a little while he's getting himself settled, and they become attracted to each other, and we go from there. This, I would say, is a highly romance book. There is a lot of spice in this book. I felt like there was an unneeded amount of spice in this book, and I will say I got a little bit annoyed by Ichabod Crane. He is older than Katrina. She is 16. This is definitely a YA book. He is older than her, and he keeps saying things to her like she wants to kiss him and other things, and he keeps saying, oh no, I really mustn't, it would destroy you, I'm older than you, not ridiculously older, but old enough to know better, this could destroy you, and like, what if something happens, but I just can't resist you, and I just have to be with you, and oh, I shouldn't be doing this, but I can't not do it. And she's like, but it doesn't matter, this is what I want. And he's like, oh, how can you do this to me, Katrina? And oh, and I'm just like, hey, you are the adult in this situation. You are in a position where her family have trusted you, and you're letting basically a teenage girl, I know the age difference was different back then, like most girls were married off at 15 or 16 back then, fine. You're letting a teenage girl basically talk you into what you actually really want to do anyway, when you're the one who, if something happens, can then just go, actually, I can leave and go somewhere else. But she would be disgraced. So I got a little bit annoyed, if I'm honest, with him and the situation. And then her best friend is, oh my gosh, what is her friend called? Catherine, I want to say. Maybe it's not. Sorry, I just knocked you. Charlotte. That's it. Her best friend is Charlotte, who is known as the local witch. Her mother's known as the local healing woman. But Charlotte in particular deals with tarot and things like that. The author has taken a bit of liberty with certain things. But anyway, and things happen. And the story goes in a direction you may not be expecting. And actually, it was a little sad. But actually, I kind of guessed. So I didn't find anything too surprising in it, but I also got quite annoyed at points, and also there just was too many of those kind of scenes. There was no need for it. There really wasn't. Yeah, and Ichabod just annoyed me. Katrina kind of annoyed me because she was all like, oh my gosh, this could happen. Then she was like, I don't care. I'm thinking, but then one minute you're like, oh, but she's a teenager. I can accept her being a bit silly because she's a teenager, and we're all a bit like that at that age. But he should know better. So I got super irritated by him. I gave it a 3-star because, ironically, at the start, I really got into a bit of a slump. I got about 5 chapters into this book and thought, I don't want to read anymore. And then when I did pick it back up, I couldn't put it back down. So it was very readable. I think the last part of the book was more enjoyable. But again, you just think, she's like, I have to find out this answer. But now it's been 6 months since I've even thought about it. But now it's just in my head. But now it's been another 3 months since I even thought about it. I'm like, really? Really? I don't know about you guys, but when something's in my mind like that and I need answers, I want to know immediately. Like, I want to go and find out and do all that kind of thing. I don't want to wait months and months on end. But anyway, it didn't end as... It wasn't what I expected. It did take a different turn. So I got 3 stars. I don't know. Yeah. It was... Thank you for the recommendation, the person who recommended it. Actually, I need to message you and find out what you ended up thinking about it. And it's great because it worked for a prompt, because I'm doing a reading challenge, and one of the prompts is a book recommended, so it worked for that. But yeah, there we go. And then the last ebook that I read was Premeditated Peppermint. Now, this is book 3 in the Amish Candy Shop Mysteries by Amanda Flower. And I gave this 3.75 actually. I actually didn't think I gave it that much, but there we go. Now, we are back with, oh gosh, what is her name? Bailey King, who is in the town of Harvest. I think it's Ohio, helping her grandparents run their Amish candy shop. And we are now at Christmas, hence the name Premeditated Peppermint. We are now, it is Christmas time, and there is going to be a Christmas market. And Bailey has her grandparents' shop, has a stall in it, and everyone on the market has been given a theme, and hers is peppermint, which is brilliant because she runs a candy shop. And so she's getting ready for the market, and then all of a sudden her ex from New York walks in and with a film crew, and he's like, I've missed you, I've come here to see you. And he's a chef. He's definitely kind of based on like the Gordon Ramsay kind of chef, angry chef guy. And he turns up and he's like, oh, I'm trying to change my image up, angry chefs are out, and I thought I'd come here. What better for Christmas than Amish country? And I've been missing you, and I really wanted to see you, and will you be in my show? Now, the Amish don't like to be on TV. They don't have TV, so her grandparents have to get permission from the district to see if they can even be filmed. They are given permission to film in the shop, but they're not given permission for the grandparents to be on camera, which is all fine. And then, dun, 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 the producer of this new show is found murdered, and we go from there. Her ex is a suspect in the murder, and she is trying to clear his name because she doesn't think he did it. She's trying to clear his name and work out if she wants to be a part of the show and all this kind of thing. And then they say to her, actually, you're so good on camera, we might be able to give you your own show, and she has to think about all this. The best thing about this was that her friend Kaz turned back up. She was in the first book, and I love her. She is so much fun. Bailey just has no personality as far as I'm concerned. Everyone's like, oh, Bailey, you're the sweetest person. You're always trying to help everyone. And I'm like, oh, no, I just find her annoying. And the sheriff's mother, who has a pot-bellied polka dot pig, who is like... what they called a pet you just take everywhere, security pet, what are they called, when you have anxiety and things. She takes this pet Jethro everywhere, and she wants Jethro to become a film star. And so we are trying to find out who this murderer is. It's all got all Christmas vibes. There's even a Christmas tree farm in it, an Amish one. Trying to find out everything. Bailey is trying to solve the murder and work out what she wants to do with her life. She's feeling all sorts of things because they have someone working in the shop who's also Amish, and she seems to be much more kind of the more perfect granddaughter than Bailey is, even though her grandparents adore her, but Bailey just feels a bit out of it because she's not Amish and everything. And we go from there with her trying to solve the murder. To be honest, I worked it out. The murder's pretty simple. The big twist secret in it is pretty simple to work out too. However, I just enjoy these books, and I don't know what it is. Bailey annoys me. She has an on again, off again kind of flirtation with the sheriff. The sheriff's mum, even though I adore her, she's a very funny character and I love the pig. She is very much like, oh, this is my daughter-in-law. And Bailey's like, I haven't even gone on one date with your son. And she's like, that's fine. You'll get married next year or something. So that she's very, very pushy. I like the town. I like the characters, even the not so nice characters. I love the kind of Amish vibes. Again, I have never met an Amish person. I know nothing about the Amish. I don't even think it's a thing we have here. Like, I'm sure there might be some Amish. Yeah, no, is there? No, I'm thinking of something else. I'm thinking of the Quakers. Anyway, so I don't know how realistic it is. I do think Bailey gets away with doing certain things that I really don't think are very Amish. And I also get a bit annoyed of her always doing Amish sweet shop things when she's the one at it. And again, she's barely at the stall. She's off solving a murder mystery. I mean, really... yeah, she's annoying. However, like I said, I gave this 3.75, which is roughly what I've given all the books. It's a good fun time and I like the Christmas vibes. Now I'm going to clear all this away and we're going to get on to the physical books. And this time we're going to do it in order of how I read them. So as I read them through the month. So Blackberry Blue and Other Fairy Tales. This is by Jamila Gavin. It is a middle grade book. I just realised that right now I'm in the mood for murder mysteries, cozy murder mysteries, Christmas vibes and middle grade. That's really my vibe at the moment. And that will be what you see a lot of in December as well. Spoilers. I haven't even got into December yet, but well, I have by the time you see this, but I've put my TBR together. This I gave 4 stars. I picked this absolutely beautiful book up. Look at this cover. In a charity shop. It is beautiful. The artwork in here, let me grab some of it. Not that one, that's a bit gross. But the artwork in here is beautiful, absolutely. This is it's a reimagining of fairy tales. Some of them I think have origins and some of them are kind of retellings. Now I gave this 4 stars, I think I said, and it is middle grade, but anyone could read this and I will definitely be keeping this in my stash. There are beautiful stories in here. There is Blackberry Blue. I mean, she's just stunning. Blackberry Blue reminds me a lot of almost like Cinderella. It's got that kind of vibe, but all the characters in here, it's very diverse. They come from different ethnic backgrounds, and I love that. I love that kind of retelling and the imagery in that. Blackberry Blue was very good. The Golden Carp is something I feel like I've heard before. The Purple Lady, never heard of that before. That was a great one. Basically, there's this lady who is in purple and she goes around taking people, and if you see her, she can take you, and a young boy goes and tries to find his sister and has to go through all these trials. It gave me Odin vibes when he's looking for the runes. So that might give you, if any of you know that part of the story. I don't want to spoil it, but there you go. The Pathfinder one was lovely. That was very nature-based, Green Man, all that kind of thing. Odd Boy was sad. That was sad. That's got a musical vibe. It kind of reminded me almost of a Jack and the Beanstalk kind of vibe, but without most of the story. I can't say more than that. I don't want to spoil any of them. And The Night Princess. Oh, that was beautiful. That really gave me, it was almost Greek vibes, Greek mythology vibes, The Night Princess. I highly recommend this book. I would say it's slightly for older children. They are fairy tales. These do lean into the origins of fairy tales, i.e. they have a slightly darker side to them. But I love the diversity in here. I love the writing in here. The artwork really, really added to it all. And who's the artwork by? I need to find that. Artwork by Richard Collingridge. It's just beautiful. It just really is a beautiful book. Easy to read. I read 1 story a day from this and I thoroughly enjoyed all of it. So every single one. 5 stars, 4 stars. It didn't get 5 stars because it didn't make me cry. The next one I have talked about and recommended to you guys already in a different video. This is The Christmas Clue by Nicola Upson. It is a murder mystery. I wouldn't say it's cozy because it does have quite a dark theme running through the end of the book. So trigger warnings if that's something you need. I gave this 4.25. Mainly because I worked out the mystery quite quickly, or certain aspects of the mystery. But if you are looking, look, even just the cover, if you are looking for a if you're looking for a fun murder mystery, this might be it for you. So this is based on, it's Christmas Eve 1943. Anthony and Elva Pratt arrive in a snowy English village to run a murder mystery game and instead discover a real murder. Now, the Pratts actually created the board game Cluedo, and they did actually create it during the Second World War. It was something they did as a project to keep them occupied in the evenings. So it's inspired by them, and it's inspired. Originally, the game was called The Murder at Something Manor, originally, before the that's what they called it, and so that's why you have the manor house kind of blueprint. And Nicola Upson has really blended all that into the book, so that is a lot of fun, even down to the candlestick or the, you know, those kind of things. But what she's also done is the characters in here. So we have Mr. Browning, and we have Miss Silver and Mrs. Threadgold and things like that. They're actually characters that were supposed to be in the board game, but when they sold it to Waddingtons, they were like, there's too many characters. So she's put those characters and the extra murder weapons in this book as part of the story. So whilst it's not the exact retelling of how they created the story, it's loosely inspired by them, there's so much from the history of how Cluedo became the massive game and my favourite board game of all time in this book, for a very, very short book. I read it in one sitting. It was really good. I got Christmas vibes. I got that World War II kind of vibe. You know, there's a lot of talking about how Anthony got injured during the First World War and the effect that's had on him now and how he's feeling, and the austerity of the time and how they're excited for the smallest little things. And they used to do murder mysteries in this book. They used to do murder mysteries pre the Second World War because it was a huge thing for parties in the 30s and that, to have a murder mystery at a local hotel or house. And so they're going back to kind of do that one last thing, and they turn up and they realise it's just them. There's no cast. And there's this cast of people. There's these people there at this hotel they've always gone to, and that might have a little bit of a dark history. It's just, I mean, look at it. Look at it. There's someone up there with a knife. There's someone down there. Like, I highly recommend this book, guys. I've spoke about it before, but I really do recommend this book. Now, I read 2 Hercule Poirots because one just was not enough this month. So the first one I read is 3 Act Tragedy. This is the 11th book in the series. And this is a fun one. I gave this 4 stars. I really enjoyed this one. Basically, it starts, you can see we've got the first act, second act, third act. Basically, we are at Crow's Nest for dinner. And with Sir Charles Cartwright is there, or someone. Poirot's there. Mr. Satterthwaite. Now, if you know him, he's from the Harley Quinn books, Mr. Satterthwaite. He's there. There's a whole cast of characters, including a reverend. They all go there for a dinner. I'm trying to think if it's Cornwall or somewhere. It's somewhere very like that. They all go to Crow's Nest for a dinner. Dun, dun, dun. Someone is murdered. Now, you would think Hercule's like, let me solve this murder, but he doesn't. So it looks like, was it accidental? We don't know. Then Hercule is on holiday abroad. I think it's in France. And once again, he bumps into Mr. Satterthwaite and one of the other people who were at the original dinner party. And it turns out that there's been another murder, and the party had many of the same guests. So suddenly Mr. Satterthwaite and Poirot become a little bit interested, and this other guy, I can't remember his name right now, might be Charles, they become very interested in what's going on and who has done the murder, and we go from there. This has dinner parties, it has chatter, it has Poirot and Mr. Satterthwaite. I mean, amazing, and it's clever. Now again, I've read this many times, I've seen the adaptations, I know who the murderer is, but this is probably a bit more callous in some ways than some of the other. No, a lot of Agatha's murders are more callous than people give it. People think it's cozy mystery. She is not a cozy mystery writer, guys. I don't know why people think that, but this is a little bit more callous. And as part of that, that really annoys Poirot when he suddenly realizes a certain thing and he's like, excusez-moi. Probably exactly that. Excusez-moi, monsieur, madame, mademoiselle. Like, he is very much like, I am annoyed by that fact, and he is trying to work everything out, and he gets a little bit confused by the end. He's like, what's this? And there's one thing he can't quite work it out, and then it all comes together. Our 3-act tragedy. It's very good. I really enjoy it. It's not an all-time favourite, Poirot, but it's definitely, there's very few Poirots that are very low down. This is in my, I really just enjoyed them. So yes, this was a 4-star and my first Agatha of the month. And then, oh my gosh, guys, look at this cover. The lighting's not great, but gilded. We have Hecate by Nikita Gill. Now, this is, I thought it was an adult book. It's apparently middle grade. Not middle grade, YA. I can see why they're saying that. Can I just say, look at those sprayed edges. This is stunning. Now, this is a kind of take on the story of Hecate, who is considered the goddess of witches. I gave this 4.5 stars. I could not put this book down. Is it the best book I've ever read? No. Nikita Gill has a beautiful way of phrasing. She often does poetry, and this book is in prose. So you don't have chapters. You have sections, but you don't have chapters, but it's in prose. And it is so beautiful. I really, really recommend this. I love this little bit as well. For you who is still searching, I hope you find what you look for. We have maps. We have, it's done like the Greek plays. So we have a drama personae, the Titanomachy, let me just read you prologue. This is an ancient story written long before us. It is a tale full of gods and monsters, divine wars and ghosts, a tangled mess made by the divine and the mortal, mothers and daughters, the sacred and the courageous, wounds both healed and unhealed, and the grief that grows in the absence of love. There is joy and friendship too, homegrown and pieced together by careful, gentle fingers. At the heart of this story is a girl looking for answers. At the soul of this story is the divine goddess within us all. I mean, that just gives you a little bit of... The universe was on fire, and the reason for this burning was a family at war with itself. I can't read anymore. Oh my gosh. So basically, the idea of Hecate as the goddess in the Greek myths, no one quite knows where she comes from a lot of time. There's different stories about a lot of the gods and the titans. But what we do know in the Greek myths is that Hecate is on neither side, she seems. Is she a titan? Is she a goddess? Probably a titan. Probably even like from the beginning of the universe. But normally we come to Hecate in the Greek myths as a grown woman, as a crone often. And she is linked, obviously, to lots of things, including the story of Persephone and Demeter. But she is often left alone. The gods do not tend to bother Hecate. She goes where she wants. She turns up when she wants. She does what she wants, and she's left alone most of the time. She is the goddess of the crossroads. She has the dog and the keys and all this kind of thing. So that's all things I know. I know a lot about her. But this comes at Hecate as a child. Her mother and father are Titans. They are in the Titanomachy, which is a war between the Titans and what then become the Greek gods, Zeus fighting his father Kronos, and Zeus's brothers and sisters fighting their father, Titans fighting each other. So it is the big war where the Titans end, their reign comes to an end. They are either murdered, you can't really kill a Titan, or sent to Tartarus. And at the start of this book, we meet a young Hecate as a child. Her father is off fighting the war. I think her father's meant to be Kronos' brother, and her mother is the goddess of prophecy and things, the Titaness of prophecy and oracle and stuff. And all Hecate has ever known is this war. And then one day someone comes into their home and goes, the war is over, you have to run. And we go on this journey with her mother whilst her mother is trying to make Hecate safe. She takes Hecate into the underworld with Hades, and there are Titans under there like Styx from the river Styx, and others like Charon, who does or Chiron, whatever you want to call him, who does the boat, the ferryman. And she begs Hades, for sanctuary, and we go from there. Unfortunately, the only one who stays is Hecate. Her mother has to leave, and you find out more about her story, and that is another Greek myth. And we watch as Hecate grows up, not knowing who she really is. She doesn't know what her power is. Normally, you are told what your power is. You are the god or goddess of. And she doesn't know any of this. No one will tell her about it. She's not allowed to wander around. She hasn't seen the sky. Styx and others try and become like a family to her, not so much Hades, although he meets her a few times. At the start of this book, I really like the portrayal of Hades. He's seen as a young god. We would think of him in terms of, obviously he's ancient, but like in his 20s, mid-20s. I really like the portrayal of him, so if you like a Hades story, this might be for you. But she's basically alone most of the time, trying to discover who she is. She's never met her father. She was born when her father was already at war, so she's never met him. She doesn't know anything. She just knows fear. She's not allowed to be around the Greek gods. People don't want her to know her powers because she could be dangerous. And we watch Hecate as she grows from this child dealing with grief from war and into this young woman and stepping into her power and who she is. And it's quite a journey. There are some sad scenes in here. It deals a lot with the idea of war and how if you are born into a war or you live through it as a child, how that then affects you, the grief you're left with, the anxiety it leaves you with, the uncertainty because you haven't been born into a world that is one that you can feel calm and relaxed in. And Hecate is an interesting character, and she is anyway, but this book comes at her from a different, we're meeting her as she's growing into herself. Now the downside to this book is I could have done with this being a series. Like this could have been a 3-book series. We could have met her as a child, then we have her middle and into crone, because by the time we get to the end of the book there's been several time jumps, and I just felt a bit like, oh, I wanted more. I flew through this book considering how long it is, because it is, you know, told in little poems. You just fly through it, and I really enjoyed this book a lot. I mean, like I said, I gave it 4.5. Is it perfect? No. I love Nagita Gill's turn of phrase. I have another book of hers upstairs that I now definitely need to read. And I love, I mean, even the pages in this feel good. I love her take, even on who the dog is, which is not, I think, a story I know. But the person who becomes her main dog, yeah, that was an interesting take. So, very much recommend this. This was a good book. Next book, again, I read one of these stories every day. This is Vampires Never Get Old. It is the first in the Untold Legends. I think they do mermaid ones and a fairy one too. Gave this 4 stars. It is edited by Zorinda Cordova and Natalie C. Parker. but it is a series of short stories. We have some of the people on the front. Beautiful book again. Look at that. It's got a bat and a coffin. Love it. This is a very diverse book, which I love. It comes at the idea of vampires in different ways. So we have lots of short stories. The reason I originally bought this was a few years ago on Netflix. There was a series called, what's it called? First Kill by Victoria Swab and V.E. Swab. And I watched that. I really liked the series. And then I found out it was based on a short story that was in this book. So I picked the book up, but it's taken me a couple of years to get to it. There is a lot. So what happens is you get the actual story, and then right at the end of the story, there is a little bit about that the two editors come on and kind of talk about the story itself and then ask a question about what you would think. So it is definitely aimed at YA. I really enjoyed these stories. I really did. There's a few that have really stuck with me. The Boys from Blood River. Oh my gosh, I could watch a series on that one. The guidebook for the newly sired Desi vampire. Loved it. Really spoke to colonialism. I love the idea of a Desi vampire. I love the idea that you've been turned and now you're waiting and you're getting all these texts and emails through. I didn't like Beastery. It was good, but I didn't get the answers I want. The House of Black Sapphires by I think it's Donnell Clayton. Oh my goodness, I want a series. I want a full book. I'm trying to find, she's brought out other books, very much YA, but they sound like they're along similar lines. They're these almost like Creole vampires, but they're not called vampires, they're called Eternals, and they go into this New Orleans underground immortal town where all these different immortals live, and there are, I can't remember what they're called, but they can take a vampire soul, like these people who walk the crossroads or something. Oh my gosh, I need a proper book on that. I really, really do. So 4 stars for this. There wasn't a story that I didn't like. I enjoyed them all. There wasn't one that I really didn't like. There is also, what is it? Is it The 7 Nights for Dying? The Boy and the Bell's probably my least liked one, or In Kind. Yeah, I think In Kind, where it literally deals with someone who is disabled and what happens when you are turned, and how a lot of vampire stories are have ableist tones to them, and how that can be quite, it adds to a very ableist narrative about how people want to be cured or saved. And so that story was very good. It was very, very good, guys. I really enjoyed it. Pick it up. If you haven't already, pick it up. And then I went back to middle grade. And I went back, look at this cover. This is The Ice Children by M.G. Leonard. Again, this is a signed copy, guys. I picked this up again in the sale. I think I picked it up last year or start of this year in the sale. Beautiful, and sprayed edges. Let me just show you those. Now, I only gave this 3 stars, but I'm going to be honest, it wasn't written for me. Now, there is some middle grade you can read, like if you read a Catherine Rundell and you're like, oh my gosh, even as an adult, that is an amazing book, that it is written in such a way that I find there's 2 types of middle grade. There's those that, I don't want to say talk down, but really do more simplistic language. And there's those that really feel like something more out of the 50s, where books basically spoke to adults like children. And I love those ones more. This is the story. Let me read the back. We've got Bianca. At the stroke of midnight on the dawn of December, 5-year-old Finn is found frozen in the city park, standing on a pedestal of ice. His heart is still beating and he is secretly smiling, but no one can wake him. His big sister Bianca suspects that the beautiful sparkling book Finn got from the library has something to do with it, but the book has vanished. Does the tall, mysterious stranger know what happened? No, more than they will admit. Each day more children are found frozen and Bianca realises she's running out of time. This is a reimagining of the Snow Queen. So it has certain elements from there, but also mixed with modern, or not so more modern, but other elements. The world Bianca ends up finds herself in is beautiful. It has Pinocchio vibes with that, if you know what I'm talking about. And there's all these animals. Do you see on the cover? There's all these snow animals. This is a brilliant book for a young person in your life. This book deals with concepts of climate change, protecting our earth and the animals within it. It talks about the importance of stories. It talks about adults listening to children more and how children are the next generation and how because of that they can make a change. So this is a beautiful book for a younger reader. There's the story of love because she's trying to get her brother back, and the bond that you can have through that. And yeah, the power of a story, the power of a book. It is illustrated by, I think, Penny Neville. And it's just, yeah, it's got the illustrator in the back. Yeah, Penny Neville Lee. It's just beautiful. But I just found the writing style was not for me. And to be honest, Bianca annoyed me a little bit. But she was just trying to tell all the adults in her life, guys, all these kids that are getting frozen had this book and no one's listening to her. And we tell children to speak up. And then when they do, they're often not listened to. So that was a big theme in this book too. Who could Bianca trust? And things like that, because no one was listening to her, not even her own parents, who were grieving because their son was frozen and they didn't know what to do. And yeah, I highly recommend this for younger people in your life. I just don't think as an adult this might be the book for you. But in saying that, it does have an important message. So the next book I read was Murder on the Christmas Express by Alexandra Benedict. Now, I've read her Jigsaw Murders before, and actually book 2 of that has come out. I didn't realise there was a second book. This I gave 4 stars. This is beautiful. I picked this one copy up a couple of years ago in Edinburgh. It still had the receipt and everything from the book. This is not a cozy mystery, guys. This deals with some very hard-hitting things. I've heard a lot of people say, why was there not trigger warnings for this book? There are, but they're not in the book. I highly recommend you look at them. This deals with some very, very difficult subjects, and some of that subject is on page. So, in the early hours of Christmas Eve, the sleeper train on the Highlands is derailed along with festive plans of the travellers. But that's only beginning of the problems. When the body of one of the passengers is discovered in a locked room, all evidence points to murder. With the train stuck in the snow in the middle of nowhere, it's up to former Met Detective Ros Parker to find the killer before they strike again. So this very much has Murder on the Orient Express vibes. We are on a train. It is Christmas. They get stuck. Well, Murder on the Orient Express isn't Christmas, but they're stuck in snow. And a murder in a locked room. I mean, give me all of that. Honestly, if you say locked room murder or closed circle with a kind of Agatha Christie, very, very, very general idea, i.e. the train in the snow. I worked out the murderer quite quickly, and I worked out the reason very quickly, but I couldn't put this book down. I really enjoyed it, even with the hard-hitting subjects. Ros has had some traumatic stuff. Then she went into the police. Her daughter is in Scotland. She's trying to reach her. She's just retired from the force. She's trying to get to her daughter. Her daughter is in labour. So all the way through the book, we're getting updates about that because she's really trying to get to her daughter in time, as well as a murder happens, and then maybe another murder happens. We have this small group of people. The heating goes out when the train runs out. There's limited staff. Other trains already couldn't run, and this is the sleeper. And Ros is torn because she doesn't want to get too involved, but then she is the only person on there with procedural training, and she's trying to work it all out. It is sad in places. The ending, I've heard some people say when I read the reviews afterwards that the ending is too neatly tied up, but the ending also reminds me of another book, and I'm not going to say it because I don't want to spoil it, but it reminds me of another book that I have read, quite a well-known one, and it has that kind of vibe. Again, don't want to spoil it for you guys. So if you are up for a cozy murder mystery, we have Scottish Tablet, which is like a fudge, very hard. We have shortbread. We have quizzes in here. Oh, and the book itself. If you love quiz, guys, honestly. So there are anagrams through the books. And then right at the end, I'm not going to show you the end because, you know, you don't want any things. But right at the end, there is an actual Christmas. There's the recipe for the tablet. And there is an actual Christmas quiz, which also has the answers. So if you really want that Christmas vibes, this is for you. But please be aware, this is not cozy mystery. And this does get extremely dark and upsetting. Then I read a book I have been avidly awaiting. This is Six Tales at Midnight by Mandy Morton, #2 Feline Detective Agency. This is I want to say book 15. Now, if you've been watching me for a while, you will know I have reread the whole series this year. This was her Christmas one. It's a novella. I read it in one sitting. These are also classed as cozy. They are not cozy. Mandy Morton does not class them as cozy, but people go, oh, it's cats. We are in a world that is populated by cats. There are no people. This is just cats. They live as people. They wear clothes. They have jobs. They eat food. They celebrate Christmas. They drive cars. So that sounds super cozy and weird. But these are cats, and anyone who's had a cat knows they are fundamentally underneath when they kill. They're predators, you know, little birdies and other things. But that's just their nature. And so a lot of these books, the murders in them are pretty gruesome, actually, guys. But we are back with Hetty and Tilly, who are the #2 Feline Detective Agency. Love them both. Tilly has been on the streets. She's had a very hard life. She's an elder cat. She has arthritis in her paws. And a few years back, her and Hetty met each other. And Hetty, who had also been homeless at one point, took Tilly off the streets, and they ended up she brought her into her little home, which is a room at the back of the Butters bakery. The Butters sisters are 2 cats who own this amazing bakery, and since then they have been the best of friends. Hetty is grumpy. She used to be a musician on the road. She is grumpy as anything. She does not like other cats. She does not like being away from her home. There are a few people who she loves and adores. Tilly is one of them. The Butters sisters is another pair. And it is Christmas time. I can't believe Barbara Erskine, who is an amazing author, like Mandy Morton's amazing anyway. And I would just like to say that Mandy Morton's partner is Nicola Upson. So let me read the back. Feline spirits stare in this curious Christmas caper. Hetty, Tilly, Bruiser, who's their friend who drives their car, their motorbike, and the Butter sisters set out across the snowy fens to spend Christmas at the Fishcutter's Arms. Snowed in. Closed circle again, guys. Snowed in with no hope of rescue, they find themselves sharing Christmas with some unwanted guests. Will the ghosts of Christmas past wreak vengeance on the present? Can our feline detectives dig themselves out of a spooky festive fiasco? And will the sausage rolls and sherry last until midnight? Jump on board for a catastrophic sleigh ride into the snowdrift full of Christmas spirits. So they basically, the Butter sisters have booked a few days away. They've invited Hetty and Tilly and Bruiser, and they're like, let's go away for Christmas to this Fishcutter's Arms. It's going to be great. There's food laid on. There's like music. Let's go away. And they're like, Hetty's like, well, I don't really want to, but she goes along with it. They turn up and it's not what they expect, because maybe they're not at the right place. So they turn up and it's an abandoned building, boarded up, and they're very upset, but they get snowed in. Thankfully, both the Butter sisters and Tilly have a lot of food with them, and there is lots of food description in here, guys. If you love food descriptions in your book, you will end up super hungry after this book. I always want a sausage roll after eating this book, and probably some cheese and crackers. And they always have a cream horn in here, and I'm like, oh my gosh, pastry, love it. They end up, it's very, very cold. They're snowed in, and they decide they're going to have to spend the night here. So they each go to these bedrooms, and each of them is then visited by a ghost. And at the start of each of the ghost chapters, I want to find one that maybe isn't so gruesome. There is a little poem. Jabari Cook, a handsome cat, killed his master, and that was that. And then Jabari turns up and the ghost tells his story. And it's a frightening night, and each of them gets visited by a ghost in their room, and then they run out, they spend the night downstairs, they are able to dig themselves out in the morning, then they actually find where they're meant to be, and then they find out the history. This is spooky, it gives you Christmas Carol vibes, there are ghosties. I gave this, I think, 4.5. I really enjoyed this. Their last Christmas book was okay, but this I loved. We are snowed in, there is abandoned, we are at the fens, which are dangerous and like this desolate landscape. We have proper ghosts in this, some of them really nasty ghosts. We have actual, like, this isn't let's pretend there might be ghosts. There are actual ghosts. They appear, things happen, everything comes out. It's got Christmas spirit, it's got loads of Christmas food in it, family, found family, friends, spookiness. I loved it so much, and it's like 90 pages long, guys. Honestly, if you are into any of that, I recommend it. And the last book that I have literally just finished was Death in the Clouds. Now, this is probably one of my least favourite, if I have to choose some, of Poirot. I'd give this about 3.75. So, we are on a plane, hence the title Death in the Clouds. Poirot is on a plane. It is flying from France to England, and there is an infamous moneylender on this plane, a lady, a French moneylender on this small plane. Poirot, just like on boats, does not do well in planes, and when they get to the other side, she is dead. Poirot has been ill throughout most of the plane ride, so he's been asleep. He doesn't really know what goes on. It looks like we've got this cast of characters, and it looks like it's a very Sherlock Holmesy thing. A blowpipe is found, a poison dart is found, all these kind of things. And Poirot's like, no, too obvious. And we go from there with all these people on the plane. In fact, it made me laugh because when they hold the inquest, they actually say that the person most likely to have killed her, not because he has a motive, but just because of who he is Poirot. And when that is handed by the jury to the magistrate and the inquest, the magistrate's like, no, that's not true. It wasn't Poirot. And we go from there with Poirot trying to work out. He teams up with some of the other people on the plane. Turns out loads of people on that plane had links to this lender. And we go from there with Poirot trying to work it out. As always, there are clues thrown all throughout if you're really looking for them. There is literally a bit where he asked to see the contents. It's Madame Giselle, I think, who's killed. He asked to see the contents of people's bags and pockets, and there's just a list of everything. And as soon as he gets that right at the start of the story, it's like, yeah, I know who the murderer is. Like, I know, but now I need to work out the why and how things were done. And you just love Poirot for that. And we go on a journey. We're both in France and in the UK. Poirot is a travelling. He is finding out secrets and scandals and all that kind of stuff. Still only a 3.75, but it's a good one. It's a good one. Definitely, the more you read Agatha Christie, I think the more you get used to the techniques and tools. Not to say she doesn't always do a little twist in there or something, but there's definitely... actually, I think I read 15 books thinking. I don't think I've logged this one yet. So 15 books for this. She definitely has twists and turns in there that you go, I'm starting to be suspicious of XYZ because I know that. So, Death in the Clouds. So anyway, guys, 15 books, because yeah, I forgot to log this one. I log on a reading website. I use Storygraph in case anyone is interested. The link to my book Instagram is always down below. It's Spellbook and a Cuppa, and my Storygraph should be linked through there too, because I'm Spellbook and a Cuppa on Storygraph. Anyway, 15 books. 3 audio, 3 ebook, and lots of physical. Most of these will be staying in my collection. I can definitely see myself rereading these every festive season. I think the only one that's actually leaving my collection will probably be this one, because I just want to pass this on to someone who could reuse it. Had some okay books, had some great books, had some books that made me think, had some beautifully written books, had some good murder mysteries. And we also put together the start of a sort of basic scrappy A masterboard, guys. So I know this has been a long one. I've been talking for ages. I need to go and get a drink after all this. But yes, let me know if any of these sound good to you. I am definitely in a murder mystery mood. That is what I want. Middle grade and murder mystery. There was an audiobook. If you watched last month, I read the first of Her Majesty's Coven series. I was rereading books 1 and 2 before I start on book 3. I was listening to that in November, and I just decided, even though I love that series, one of my favourite, and I love the books, it just wasn't the vibes I wanted. It's very dark and there's lots happening. It just wasn't what I wanted. I wanted spooky and I wanted middle grade. That's what I wanted. And murder mysteries. And so that's definitely the vibe I am taking into December with me. Just to pre-warn you, there will be some, obviously, as always, Poirot, and I'll be reading the next Amish one. I think that's it. I don't think there's any others. And yeah, some Christmas ones. So I don't like romance at Christmas. I like a good murder mystery. And considering Christmas was the actual time of ghost stories and things like that, it seems fitting, but I like a cozy murder mystery. So anyway, guys, please do let me know if any of these sound good to you. I know a couple of you had said in the previous video you're looking to pick this one up, and I'd be so interested to hear what you think. And yeah, got 2 Poirots in because that's just what I wanted to listen to. I was meant to read Death in the Clouds in December, but I was like, no, I'm going to listen to it now because I can, and that's what I want to do. So I'll be back again soon for another video. Thank you so much for joining me. I know this was a long one. So if it is, down below, what I would like you to leave me, I'm trying to think. Do you know what? Leave me a train for Murder on the Christmas Express. Almost said Orient Express. Leave me a train down below in the comments if you've stayed to the end. I'll be back again soon. You'll be seeing my December one at the start of January. Gosh, that's so crazy to think about. We're almost in the new year. But until next time, guys, wherever you are in the world, I hope you're having lots and lots of bookish fun. Bye for now.